Mark Salerno, the founder of Salerno Realty. Mark, thanks a lot for joining us. Let's jump in.
Thank you for having me on.
Let's jump into to a question that many Canadians are asking themselves this morning. Certainly Canadians who either have mortgages, those who have variable rate mortgages, those who are thinking of making an acquisition with a variable rate mortgage. I spoke to one of my co-workers within the past hour. She's considering making a purchase with a variable rate mortgage, so this is very much on her mind as well. What does this mean to people like that?
Well, people are going to have to start looking forward now. The bank obviously yesterday decided that they weren't going to increase the rate, but it will come. So I think it's important to figure out what is your ability to look at the future payment, not just the today. So they've been talking about 6 or 7 increases potentially over, this year and next year. So look at the payment in the future, not today's payment. And if you feel comfortable with that, then I would say go into a variable at that point.
Right now, would-be mortgage borrowers must go through a stress test process, correct? In which they need to demonstrate to the financial institution that they can handle mortgage payments that are at 2 full percentage points more than what they're lining up to purchase, correct?
Yes, so the purchasers do have to go through that, but I do think it's one thing to see it on paper and one thing to actually make that payment. We have a lot of things in life that we didn't have to pay for maybe 10 years ago with, the things that we have. And I think that looking forward, look at that payment and realize, can I make that payment? It's all about handling your comfort level. And some people, have been taking advantage of the variable rates for quite some time. And I think it's been very beneficial for a lot of people. So it just depends on your comfort level, really, between locking into a fix and staying in a variable.
Should you stress test yourself more severely than the bank wants you stress tested or your lender wants you stress tested? Should you be looking at interest rates that are 2.5% or 3% higher than what you're lining up to take on?
I would say 2% should be the minimum, but it depends on how conservative you are, really, at the end of the day. I think it's very important to stress that fact because home prices are rising at astronomical rates right now. And, that extra 100,000 here, 100,000 there, it adds up by the end of it, right?
And are you still, do you still favor variable rates at this juncture?
I do. Still at this point here.
I'm sorry, personally, variable rate mortgages is what I meant to say.
Yes. Personally, I've always been in a variable rate mortgage, for the last 12, 13 years. The rates are still low right now. I think the lowest posted rate's at 0.95, but I think with the bank, it's around 1.5. It's still favorable right now. And the beauty of being in a variable mortgage is you can switch into a fixed at any point. The fees in breaking a variable mortgage are much less than breaking a fixed rate mortgage. So if you become uncomfortable at any point, you can lock into a fixed rate.
Okay, what about home prices? You've briefly referenced that in our conversation. A lot of Canadians are wondering, will higher rates cool off red-hot housing markets around the country? Will they at least slow down the pace of increases in home prices? Could they even cause a period of declining home prices in Canada?
I don't think rates alone will be able to do that simply because this is a supply and demand issue. Right now, if you look, it doesn't matter really what pocket or what areas you're looking in. There is so limited amount of inventory right now that mostly every property has, 5, 10 buyers lined up at the minimum for it. So until they are able to increase the supply, I think rates, it'll take a while before that puts a shift into the market on pricing.
What about the condominium market? This is the market that I know the best. I don't know it as an expert, obviously, but when I make my way around the city, and as I have made my way around the city for the past 20 years, there is always a crane somewhere or multiple cranes building new, very large condominium buildings. So certainly the supply of condominium units continues to increase.
It does continue to increase, but what I'm seeing now with the freehold market, the way that, and again, stats will come out and everyone will see, but the increase in the freehold market, I think, is going to send another shock into the condo market where pricing is going to continue with the condo market because of the gap that's happening between the condo and the freehold market.
A lot of would-be home buyers often wonder, should I buy now? Should I wait for a period of declining or at least moderating prices? What are your thoughts there? We often hear from professional stock market investors, portfolio managers, that they've been investing as professionals in the stock market on behalf of clients for decades, and they believe that even they cannot, quote unquote, time the market. What do you think about
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It is very tough to time the market, especially when we're talking about anywhere between 20 to 50+% increases over the last 12 months in certain areas. But one thing I think that's very important to look at when you're trying to get into the market, someone who does not currently own a home, maybe look into a different area. I know right now people are saying it's expensive in the GTA and the surrounding areas. Hey, maybe look at a province to park your money, get your money into the market. I really believe that's the only way long-term to succeed in real estate is you have to get in at a certain point. There have been people who have been waiting right now saying, I'm going to wait for it to pull back. And, truth be told, they've cost themselves 40, 50, 60% in that time. So it's very difficult to sit on the sidelines waiting in this type of environment in the market.
And finally, how much of a factor these days is the bank of mom and dad, young Canadians getting significant financial assistance from their parents?
I think it's huge because right now, unless you are getting help, it's difficult for first-time home buyers to get into the market, especially with the way the pricing is right now. It is very difficult. So, if you're getting help, it's great. If not, it's very difficult, and there's no way to sugarcoat that.
Mark